your forecast first. Sponsored by Matex Heating, Cooling, and Plumbing.
Good morning, everyone. Happy Wednesday. So the skies right now are very clear. That air mass that was working its way in, the cooler, more mild, and less humid air mass firmly in place. You're going to walk out the door and notice a bit of a breeze, and temperatures for many, if not all of us, are in the 50s. 59 in Champaign, 54 in Danville, 52 in Watseka, with 57 for us in Springfield and Decatur. A good morning to us. We're at 53 degrees. Yeah, it's going to be cooler and crisper as we start off. We still see a lot of sunshine into the afternoon, but we do warm up, and it looks like a lot of us will be right around the upper 70s and the lower 80s. Now, the air mass not going to be quite as cool as we head over the next couple of days, but it's still going to be pretty nice before the heat and humidity return over the weekend. We'll talk about that, plus some storm chances, too, by your Sunday. Coming up, WCIA 3 News starts now.
You're watching your local news leader. This is The Morning Show on WCIA 3 News.
We all need to show up and really fight for racial justice, because it's not going to happen otherwise.
Well, the latest in a series of protests in Champaign continues as people surrounded the city building. Thanks for joining us this morning. I'm McLeod Hageman.
And I'm Christy Batista. The protesters came out to show support for racial justice.
And there was more than an hour of public comment altogether. Everyone expressing concern about the recent protests and also the positive changes they're looking to see within the community. Several people questioned why the general focus has been directed toward the vandalism rather than the racial injustice they've experienced. Some say the graffiti shouldn't invalidate the meaning of the message of having true equality among all people. Now, some people also spoke in support of the Champaign police chief and denounced the vandalism that happened at the police station. Several racial justice groups gathered to express their demands from City Council beyond these issues. Now, the protest before the meeting was a time to draw people's attention to their plea.
Another factor, now that we're moving back into the school year, is to remove the student officers from schools. So we're kind of talking about that right now, the fact that for a couple officers, it's about 5 to 6 times the salary of one social worker. So our kind of idea right now is that if we take out these officers and get social workers instead, it could be a lot more help to students specifically.
While we are spending a lot of time.
And City Council members also issued responses to the public comments. They say while the vandalism was a concerning issue, they recognize the entire community needs to work together to solve the long-standing issues of violence as well.
Well, speaking of that vandalism, the Champaign police chief says he's personally investigating what happened that night at the police station. What started as a peaceful protest outside police headquarters ended in graffiti that included racial slurs and threats. Chief Anthony Cobb says his real concern is why no one from his department tried to stop it. He was on vacation at the time, and police told us commanders tried to call protest organizers to stop them, but no officers went outside to take action.
Our failure to act is on us, and I want to say us being the command staff. My officers were upset, offended, disrespected, outraged by what happened here, and they would have gladly stepped up and done their service, but I need to figure out why they weren't allowed to.
Chief Cobb says he wants to make it clear that city leaders did not tell police to stand down. He's trying to find out who gave the call. As for the racial slurs, the protest organizers have apologized and say they don't believe the person who wrote it understood its depth.
So we are going to start off this morning with more of the clear skies and some of that cooler air that's now in place here across central Illinois on your Roofing Dog On It Weather Camera Network. So good morning to all of us. Yeah, no sunlight at all yet. Sunrise later and later now after 6 a.m. So what you see is basically a dark, clear sky with high pressure that's going to be really nearby for us and helping to provide more of a north and northeasterly wind, mild air mass, and no rain anywhere near in sight today or for the next few days. We're at 59 in Champaign, sitting at 57 in Springfield, 58 in Effingham, and right now it's 62 degrees in Quincy. We're going to see a mild start to the day. I know, maybe a little cool for a few of us. Nothing but sunshine, though, on the way for the next few days with some rain chances possibly as we head into the weekend. We'll let you know if and how high those chances are coming up a little bit later. Mac and Christy.
Thanks, Adam. One school district is making sure its students will be able to take part in remote learning.
Champaign educators are spending the next 2 weeks handing out Chromebooks to every student in the district. Now, the IT director says they want to give students as much help as possible while they're learning outside the classroom.
The digital divide has always been something that we've been working to close and working to rectify. But right now, as we're moving into distance learning, it's just crucial that we make sure that all the students have devices and have something that they're able to participate in a good quality education at home.
And they plan to hand out between 3,500 and 4,000 Chromebooks by the end of next week.
There will no longer be dozens of layoffs at Parkland College in Champaign. The college had planned layoffs after a loss of revenue from declining enrollment, along with other things at the start of the pandemic. It was a nearly $5 million shortfall. Parkland had a voluntary separation option for their employees. The participation in that, along with resignations and retirements, made up for that financial loss. In all, Parkland expects 69 positions to become vacant in the next 3 years. About half won't be filled, and the others will be replaced with employees at lower salaries.
The negative potential is that the state reduces our the portion of our funding that we get from them. There's obviously a budget issue with the state of Illinois. So if that is exacerbated in any way, we might see a reduction in the funding that we receive from the state, which is not insignificant.
The budget shortfall was reduced nearly $2 million. Parkland expects to be out of the red within 3 years if nothing else goes wrong.
2 new emergency orders go into effect today in Champaign. Starting at 5 this evening, all customers will be required to sit at bars and restaurants, and people younger than 21 won't be allowed inside bars after 9 every night. Now, indoor dining is also being temporarily restricted in the Campus Town area. This goes into effect at 5 p.m. for bars, 9 p.m. for restaurants. This will remain in effect until Labor Day. And the mayor says this is a way to prevent a spike in cases as college students return to campus. Meantime, many college students at the U of I are continuing to move in this week.
First-year students can officially move in today. Those who have already been on campus before have been assigned Friday as their move-in day. For a full list and the COVID-19 restrictions, head to WCIA.com.
The Coles County Health Department is reporting 27 new cases of coronavirus, and this comes as students are starting to return to campus at Eastern Illinois University. The school scheduled specific move-in times for students. EIU is only allowing single-room dorms for the school year. Although COVID-19 cases are on the rise, many students' families say they're not worried because the schools have so many safety measures already in place.
I'm sure they're doing everything they can to address that, as well as having the lounging area restricted to 4 students. And then at this stage of life, it becomes a matter of personal responsibility.
And classes begin next Monday. Social distancing will be required in those classes, including dining centers.
New this morning, a Sangamon County woman in her 80s has died from COVID-19. She's the 3rd person to die there over the past week. 37 people have died since the start of the pandemic. Sangamon County officials are also announcing 27 new positive cases. The total is now at more than 1,500 people. Champaign County is reporting 29 new cases. The total number is nearing 1,800 people there. 19 people have died from the virus. 9 are currently in the hospital. Taking a look at the latest numbers across the state now, the 7-day positivity rate has been slowly increasing, now sitting at 4.3%.
There are now more than 1,700 new cases. That brings the total up to more than 209,000 altogether. 27 more people have died. The total number of COVID-19 related deaths is just shy of 7,800. Well, 1 week after the Big Ten postponed fall sports, some major U of I players still haven't talked about it.
Coming up in sports, we take a look at what other student athletes are doing with spring in mind. We'll be right back.